I know what you're thinking. Bryan, you just exude brilliance. I'm aware, and if you read the comments section, you'll see that that always 100% lines up with the truth. False. That is not true. I'm an idiot, and many times I do dumb things when it comes to playing games. For instance, when I played this game the first time, I did something really dumb. Very dumb. Which brings us to the question of the day. What is your biggest rules mistake you've ever made in a game? And what did it do to the game that you played? Let me know in the comments below. I want to know your biggest rules mistake and what that did to the effect and experience of the game. Because today we're talking about 18Chesapeake, a very nice looking 18xx game made to be played in 2.5 to 3 hours. Front to back, top to bottom, complete. Let's talk about how this plays, and we'll come back up and talk final thoughts right now. So this is 18Chesapeake all set up. Now you instantly notice a markedly different appearance than 1830 that I reviewed not too long ago. Mostly in the fact that there's nice fonts everywhere. You have the different tokens that are, actual nice wooden tokens with stickers with each of the colorful train companies logos on them. You also have the nice board, which got a little bit of different color. There's actual color coordination with the top board versus the bottom, where it's not just plain white, as well as just the nice look of the cards, the full color cards and everything like that as well. The trains have great art on them for the 1s, 2s, or the 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s trains. The basic way of playing is the exact same as any 18xx game. If you don't know what that is, I'm going to give you a quick overview. You can watch my 1830 video or some of the stuff that Ambi does on 18xx games here on the Dice Tower. But first, you're going to auction off these private companies. These are just little perks that you're going to get to use. They'll provide you income, but they're also going to give you a little bit of a bonus. You will auction those off first, then you'll have a normal auction round, which is where you auction the shares off to these railroad companies. Now in an 18xx game, you're not playing as a railroad company, you're playing as a railroad baron, a la like a Mr. Durant, investing in different companies, and you will control the company that you are the prime shareholder or the president of. The way you do that is you'll buy shares. The first share has to go 20% of the company, which is why it's got 2 shares on the first one here. You'll then set what's called the par value. This would be 70, 80, or 95. One of the things I really like about Chesapeake is they've simplified all the math. They're all 0s or 5s. That is a fantastic thing when you're trying to get people into the game. You're not having to do, I think it's 74 times 2, what 60 times 2, or 65 times 2, or 70, 80, 95 times 2. The math on that is just so much easier to quickly do in your head. It speeds the game up, which is nice. So you'll set the value. Say that you want to make B&O, the par value, at $70. You'll take the little B&O thing, put this here, and then this is sitting at $70. Now, that means that if anybody wants to buy a share of B&O from this area here, the public option, you can buy it here at $70 always. However, if someone has sold the share later for a different value based on the way that the stock market will move, you can buy it from the bank pool at whatever it is on the market. That might be higher or it might be lower than the par value. But if something's available here, you can always buy it for the par value. Once everybody's bought and sold enough of these stocks, you then move into the operations round. Now, for a company to activate, to operate, it has to have 60% of its company floated, or 60% of its company owned in shares. And the way that works is, once a company has 60%, it's then what's called floated. The person who has the most shares will take the player board for that railroad. They will then give a full 100% of capital to this company based on the par value times 100, or times 10. So if Camden and Amboy's par value is set at 70, it will get $700 here of company money to work with. Now this company money is not your private money, which the private money is what you're trying to win with. But then you then make all the decisions for the Camden and Amboy. The home station will go out. It goes right here. So you immediately have access to some pretty nice little areas when you're running trains to get money. What's going to happen is you'll then operate. Now, what I love about this is it's got a nice player aid here. This tells you what the trains cost, what will rust, which means make these lower trains go away, as well as when they become available and what they do and change the phases of the game, as well as changing the color of tiles that are available. You can buy one of your private companies into the major company. You can lay a track tile. Now first you can only lay yellow tiles, and these are pretty simple. The ones with the dots are cities or towns. The ones that are flat here, they're just pieces to move. The only thing is you have to keep the integrity of the board, so you can't completely just destroy a space. It has to match what you put over it. And there's actually a little chart that tells you what can go where. Once that's done, you'll then place one of your station markers if you choose to, because when you're running trains, an important thing to note, you can't run through someone else's station marker. You can start at it, you can end at it, but you can't run all the way through it. You can also run your train. So if you had a train out here, you would be able to run, which means you trace a line based on the level of the train. So a 2 train can move 2 cities, 1, 2, and collect the money listed on that tile. So this would be $30 if you ran it into Philadelphia. Pretty simple, but that number will go up from there. You can then either choose to keep all that money in the railroad's cash, which will decrease the stock value, or you can pay dividends out to whomever owns shares, which is that amount that was earned divided by 10 per share. Then you can buy your train. So the first turn you actually operate, you won't be running because you don't own a train yet, because that comes at the end of the phase. Trains are $80 for a 2 train. Once those are all sold, you can buy 3 trains. When that happens, the game will shift into the mode where you can start using green tiles to upgrade tracks that are out here. The reason upgrading and placing is important is because some of these are limited. Now, that is the majority of how the game plays. You're going to move into these different phases. They're going to give you more operations rounds versus stock rounds. You're going to keep buying shares, selling shares, running trains, building up personal capital to where at the end of the game, once that bank of 8,000, which is a much, much lower bank than normal, or than 1830, once that bank is broken, the person at the end with the most personal money wins the game. That's a quick overview. Again, you can watch others to kind of give you a fuller picture, but that is the major elements of how you play 18 Chesapeake. Well, that's 18 Chesapeake. Gorgeous, first of all, looks amazing. Now I'm going to talk about a couple different things as far as art and design. Number one, I like the design of this game. I like the fact that the stock board is right there on top. I like the fact that everything you need to see map-wise is right there. I like the fact that on the back of the private companies, there are rules about what they do. I like that all of the grids for which tiles upgrade to which are laid out. I like that they're pretty easy to figure out, even if you're not super familiar with the 18XX system. So these are all design elements, right? Things that are printed on a board in a way to facilitate ease of use, ease of reading, ease of access to find out what something does. Now, I also like that there are reminders and player aids on each of the company boards. That's really nice. Like, as opposed to coming from 1830 where it's like, hey, here's some cardboard that we cut out of the back of the copier because we, wanted to play this prototype. Talking about the original edition. This is nice. It looks nice on the table. Now, as far as art and design, I also like the wooden tokens being raised up with the nice stickers of each company. Everything's nicely colored, full color. I really like the way this looks. The stocks and everything. Everybody's logo looks nice. I like it. I'm aware some of them are based on the originals and based on the real ones in real life, but it looks good. And then last but not least, when it comes to design, I love the idea of fonts. And a good set of fonts will go a long way with me when it comes to art and design. Every little piece of text in this game looks good, especially the company logos with that nice Balford or Celestial font. It looks really good. So enough about how this game looks on the board. You still do have the yellow, green, and brown tiles that look 18XXy, but everything else looks nice. In fact, there's a nice side of the board that looks good, and then there's an 18XX side of the board, which is for, you want that classic look, more flat, more kind of less drastic colors and things like that. So that is the art presentation. Now let's talk about how this game plays. You just saw the overview. It plays like an 18X game. It does have several things going for it that make it nice for beginners. There aren't overly complicated rules when it comes to the private companies. The rule book is nicely laid out. Again, 18XX is an entire genre, and each one is like a different flavor of Doritos, right? Like some are Cool Ranch, some are, Flaming Hot, whatever, but they're basically the same kind of chip. Whereas this, though, does try to open that door and say, hey, no, you can play these games. They're accessible. Here's some easier rules. And this one features a quicker playtime with an $8,000 bank. You would think that's true if you read the rulebook. The components say it comes with 95 of this, 48 of this, blah, 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 and an $8,000 bank. There's a little paragraph under that. Doesn't look important, right? Just a little paragraph. Now, the thing is, this $8,000 bank, if it's worded that way under the components, wouldn't you think that meant $8,000 worth of paper money? No. There's about $15,000 worth of paper money,
And if you just take it on face value that there's $8,000 worth of paper money, not 15, you'd go, oh, that makes sense. And then you start scratching your head like, why is this game lasting so long? Why, oh why, is a game with an $8,000 bank, because that's the in-game condition, taking so much longer? It almost feels like it's twice as long. And then you count the paper money and realize that there's about $15,000 there. I don't know who to blame for this. It's probably my fault because I didn't read the one little paragraph under the thing where it says in components. Again, it's worded this way in components, $8,000, so that does drive me a little crazy. The part about not reading, that's on me. The first time we played. But it says, put away the extra money to be used on your final round. When you hear extra money, you also think maybe $1,000, $2,000. No, it's about $7,000. So put all that aside. That's my frustrations. I'm irritated that it's worded that way, and if you're not careful, you might miss that, much like I did, and it can cause some frustrations when you're like, no, I promise this is the quicker version of 1830, the quicker version of 18XX game, and your friends are like, what the heck? Why are we still here playing this? So, I enjoyed it, though. I love it. Love the way it looks. I love the 18XX system. Just the whole idea of buying and running those trains is so much fun. I really like the fact that this does speed it up when done correctly. Nice package. It looks good. The front of the box looks really cool. That whole dreaming of the future picture. I really like this. So if you're a fan of train games, you've always wanted to dip your toe into that 18XX system, or you've been curious, or if you like just a nice heavier railway game, even things like, Age of Steam, Railways of the World, but you kind of want to take that next step with the stocks, definitely go get your hands on 18Chesapeake and play it correctly. Play it with an $8,000 bank. Let me know in the comments below if you've ever had a rules error and what it was and what you've done since to fix it. So I'm Bryan Drake here on the Dice Tower. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, etc. at Dice Tower Bryan. Until next time, we'll see you.